We'll talk about new Ford models. So Ford new model update. Now if you're watching from the live, of course, you just heard about the Ford Ranger. It's just to say that for the new Ford Ranger 2024, Ford is producing those. You will get scheduled soon. It will all depend on where you are on your dealership's wait list. But I think most people are going to get these relatively quickly. We're talking, from today, I'd say you'll start getting scheduled for the month of March, April, or May. Unless, of course, you're waiting on a 2.7 liter, because Ford Ranger news for the 2.7 liter is that we're told there'd be a 2.7 liter, but we still don't have it in the order guide. At dealers, we still can't choose it, so I can't just build a Ranger, add the 2.7 liter, send the order off to Ford, and then just wait. I can't even make the request. So if we're lucky, it's going to turn into a job 2, and that means halfway through production, Ford will come out with a new order guide, and we'll see the 2.7 liter option. Will it be a standalone, or will it be attached to a new model like the Wildtrak? I don't know yet, folks. Maybe they don't want to take away the spotlight from the Ford Ranger Raptor, because that's a 3-liter turbo, 6-cylinder. That's a 6-cylinder in a V formation with a turbo for each cylinder bank. And it's incredible. It sounds great. It accelerates great. It's a fantastic engine. I love it in the Ford Explorer ST. I love it in the Lincoln Aviator. But the Ranger weighs less than those vehicles, so weighs less than the Aviator, similar in weight to not a huge difference with the weight of an Explorer. If someone wants to look up online and let us know in the comments, how much does a Ford Explorer ST, not an ST line, but an ST, what's the weight of that? And what's the weight of the Ranger? I think the Ranger is going to come in with a 2.3 liter. It's about 4,400 pounds. So let's say it ends up being 4,600 pounds with 4,600 pounds with the 2.7 liter engine. But we might get it as an engine only available if it's on a special model like a Wildtrak or something. But we'll find out. But the 2.7 does need to be in the Ranger. It's going to be an amazing value. And if I can't get my Raptor, well, I would be very happy slapping on the 2.7 liter engine option, that beautiful, powerful V6 that is incredible in an F-150. It's going to be mind-blowing in the Ranger. It's incredible in the Bronco. Well, I want that on a Ranger. And I just modify my XLT. Throw on some big tires. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of fender flares, but definitely throw on some big tires, lift it up 2 inches all around, or at least a leveling kit so the front goes up 2 inches so it's nice and level. That's what's going on with the Ford Ranger. No news yet on the 2.7 liter. And the Ford Ranger Raptor, some dealers will get 0. Some dealers, huge dealers, might get 4 or 5. Globally, you could say we're a medium-sized dealer because we're not selling 10,000 units per year like the biggest dealerships that are out there, but we're still selling about 1,000 units per year. So we're a good, solid, medium-sized dealership, and we're getting 1 Ranger Raptor. So not enough for the demand, but in regards to demand on the Ranger, we don't have a huge waiting list for the Ranger. So even if someone orders a 2.3 liter XLT or Lariat Ranger now, of course, they're all 4-door with a 5-foot box. There's no reg cab or super cab option. But if you order that now, you're going to get it within a reasonable time. Order now, probably going to get it between 4 to 8 months. But there's some other very interesting models coming in at Ford. Ford's not in deep water when it comes to models. We'll be talking about who's in deep water. If you order an Everglades, very cool, not quite new model, but you could maybe be in deep water with these, because I'm not getting any indication. At first, it was very clear from Ford that many dealers would get 0. Some dealers would get 1 to 4, depending on their size. We only got 1. That's for the size of dealer we were. We could only get 1 Everglades per year. And I haven't gotten any contrary signs to say that now, doors wide open, take as many Everglades as you want. So that is probably going to be a bit of a collector. Especially as time goes on and we're on to maybe being forced EVs, and that manufacturers will only be allowed to make EVs, electric vehicles, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. Well, by then people will maybe say, wow, a big a 2.3 liter, a big 4-cylinder engine, wow, that's so cool. And they won't care that it's a 6-cylinder or a V8. They'll just be happy to have a petrol powered engine on a great looking vehicle. So I don't think you're going to be in deep water if you order up an Everglades. If you go too low in the water though, and you get water on a lot of water splashing around in and around your alternator, yes, then you'll probably be in some deep water. Now, Ford electric SUV, new model for Ford. We've got this camouflaged vehicle, and coincidentally, what's going to be going on at Ford? Well, the Ontario plant is going to stop making the Edge, the Ford Edge, as well as the Lincoln Nautilus. You'll have some Lincoln Nautilus. Lincoln Nautilus is still going to exist, produced in China. And I've seen the new Nautilus, and I'm blown away. It's an incredible SUV. But Ford, coincidentally, the Edge is gone, but they're coming in with a Ford electric SUV, and it's Ford Edge sized. So I think this is essentially a replacement for the Ford Edge, and a replacement in the sense that it's going to have very similar dimensions. And you can tell that the driver sitting there, it's about the size of an individual that'd be sitting in an Edge. So we will have something Edge sized, but it's going to be all electric, and we can expect to know more. An arrival date still to be determined, but maybe mid-2024. This could be a very quick process, like the Lightning. They might just say, hey, it's going to be available, and then if they announce that mid-2024, maybe we're getting it sometime in 2025. Here they say arrival date mid-2024, but being that we don't have anything confirmed yet, I'd be surprised unless they're just going to kind of slide it in without making a big, huge press event of it all. With it all, as they did with the Bronco, the Maverick, and the Lightning. Remember, those were vehicles that we were told, like, hey, wow, we've got this new vehicle, and then we put in our order, and we waited. And we waited. And then we waited, and then we waited a little more, and then we got frustrated, and we complained. And then we waited, then we complained, and then when it came in, pretty much everyone's like, I'm so happy I waited. Best decision I ever made to wait. Of course, the people that didn't wait and bought something else, they're happy about, they say they made the right decision as well. But based on how happy the type of comments that I'm seeing from people who waited for their Ford Bronco or Maverick, generally people saying this is by far the best vehicle I've ever had. I absolutely love it. The comments are so positive. We've owned a Maverick. We own a Bronco. These are incredible machines, folks. They're really, really worth waiting for. But maybe Ford isn't going to make us wait so much. Maybe it'll just be announcement, and then 3 to 6 months later, they're showing up at dealers. So we're going to have a Ford Explorer EV. Ford and Volkswagen have an incredible partnership. Ford is going to be sharing some things such as the Transit Connect. They're going to be sharing some platforms, sharing battery technology, and based off the Volkswagen ID4, we've got this Ford Explorer EV, and they're thinking it's going to start at less than 40,000 euros. So we'll see about that, but I think so far I'd say that's an attractive vehicle. I'd like to know what you all think in the comments. I certainly hope it doesn't come with only one mag option. I'm very disappointed. The Ford Lightning, the fact that the XLT and the Lariat, I have a Lariat, the fully loaded Lariat, and I've got the same look at least for Canada, as an XLT, even the standard range battery. So I have the extended range battery Lariat, and I've got the same wheels and generally pretty much the same look as a standard range Lariat. And there's $30,000 difference between the two vehicles, and no one at Ford thought like a proper car guy or gal and was like, no, people, when they spend more, they want more. They don't want just more battery autonomy. And I'm like, wow, an extra 100 pound-feet of torque and more battery autonomy. If you spend an extra 30,000, you want it to kind of show, because it kind of hurt you 30,000 more times. It's like 30,000 little pokes of a needle more. Well, you put in a little more pain into the game. You want a little more gain from the game. So Ford, come on, bring out the not just mag options. If anything, let people have life. If they prefer that XLT mag, let them have it. But then don't charge them more if they choose a different model and they want to look different than models that cost $30,000 less, because that's the big problem with electric vehicles. manufacturers need to know how they need to figure out how they're going to differentiate themselves from their own models to other manufacturers' models. Is Ford getting away from larger electric vehicles? Now, that's a great question. It would make sense in regards to autonomy. You know, you look at my colleague and friend's Mach E, and he's driving around with his electric SUV. And at this time of year, I think he told me he's getting 29 kilowatts. He's burning 29 kilowatts or using up 29 kilowatts per hour. And here I am at 44 kilowatts per hour with the F-150. Why? Because it's a brick and it's, you know, it gets stuck in the wind. Drake, it'd be great to know what your dealer is going to do to fix that remote start issue on the Bronco. I'd love to hear about that. So you can email me, either find me on Facebook at Johnny's Car Care and Reviews or Instagram as Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. That would probably be the best options for contacting me. So this vehicle is going to be a little less long than the current Explorer. So it's going to measure 4.47 meters long and 1.63 meters high. Now, meters to feet, if I recall, it's about 3.3. The difference, a meter is about 3.3 feet. But you can always just use your, if you have a smartphone or the internet, you just type in meters and then in feet, and it'll tell you the answer. So interesting vehicle. They're thinking it'll do about 311 miles or 500 kilometers. Now let's move right along. You've got the Ford Mustang Mach E Rally. So it's just an added trim, pretty fancy trim though. 19-inch alloy wheels, Michelin Cross Climate, 235/55 tires, a really nice rear spoiler, redesigned grille, new headlight graphics, and more ground clearance. So you can kind of speed around driving down those mountain back roads at high speeds. Little air wings, they're actually made to keep vehicle downforce on a vehicle so that as you go fast, you don't just kind of have less weight on the wheels as the air underneath the vehicle pushes it up. In which case, then you have less control with the wheels because less wheel weight is on those wheels. Well, that's why wings exist. So this thing, put up a little higher, but then a wing to give it more downforce, so you still have control under high speeds. They're talking, it's going to have a 91 kilowatt battery and 2 electric motors. Of course, it'll be all-wheel drive. It's the Rally Edition. 480 base horsepower and a whole lot of torque because it's going to do 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds with an estimated range of 280 miles, which is 450 kilometers. So it'll be able to take, like other Mach-Es and F-150s, charging up to 150 kilowatts. And that's one area where Tesla excels. They let you charge up to 350 kilowatts. But it's all, the faster you charge a battery, the less it affects long-term reliability. It increases the chances for having issues and problems. And we'll get to that later in the show because it looks like having an electric vehicle means you increase your chances of having problems by 80% compared to a petrol-powered, gas-powered vehicle. So I think that's always interesting to know. Now, we probably won't get this, but we've got the Ford Puma EV looking pretty. I bet it's going to be a pretty good looking vehicle underneath that camouflage. So it's based on the Volkswagen platform. The new SUV will not be much bigger than the current one. They consider that an SUV, even though it's pretty low to the ground, but I think it looks fantastic. And I would be interested in a Puma if it was offered here because I like how it looks sporty. It looks like a sporty four-door, and I like sporty four doors, and I wish Ford had a station wagon. I think the Audi station wagon is an incredible looker, and I wish Ford had a really sharp-looking station wagon. So that won't be very all that powerful, but we've got that right there. The Ford Puma EV, because currently not a ton of power on those Pumas, but they're thinking it could have the powertrain from the Courier e-Tornado, so 134 base horsepower and a battery of unspecified capacity. So who knows? If it's got a gasoline engine, with 134 horsepower, an engine, as well as then an electric motor. Who knows how much power it's going to produce? That, you know, I don't think we're going to get that. So it's not, we don't need to spend too much time on that. We can spend time with those that we love and on the topics that we love as well. So that's that. And we're going to just timestamp this right now and get on to the next topic. And actually, we could wrap up this topic. There has been talk on certain channels saying that there's going to be a Ford Ranchero and there's going to be all these other models. There's going to be, they talk, I think it's Charge Drive, one of those AI generated channels where you never see an individual's face. Of course, they can make claims like there's going to be a Ford Ranchero. Right now, there's no plans for it. They say there's going to be 100% Ford Maverick EV. Ford has, you know, all that's been said is that Ford will electrify their icons. Yes, the Ford Maverick is absolutely an icon. It's the best-selling hybrid truck. It is favored by almost every journalist as the, you know, last year's best truck, this year's best truck. But that doesn't mean it's going to go full EV. So here they are electrifying your icons. Just means that they'll either be standard hybrid, which means no plug-in option, and you get, you know, 20-30% fuel savings in town. Not much fuel savings on the highway. Just look at that Ford F-150 hybrid, the Power Boost. There's proof right there of what I'm saying. Look at the Ford Explorer hybrid, proof of what I'm saying right there. Now we can go on to say, you know, I'm not a huge fan of channels that go on to say just about anything because they never show their face, so they've got no skin in the game. So they make these outlandish claims to say, you know, maybe they figure, you know what, who cares? If I burn this channel, I'll collect the $40,000-$50,000 from making a whole bunch of videos at 100 or 200,000 views. And, you know, if people ever hate it, I'll just switch the name and I'll have AI generate me other content for a different channel. Oddly, pretty much always the same voice, but I still have no internal, nothing at Ford saying that there's going to be a Ford Ranchero, nothing confirmed yet on a full electric Maverick EV. Yes, it's an electrified version, is definitely happening, but I don't know if it's going to be, well, I know there's almost certainly going to be a hybrid all-wheel drive, but I don't know when we'll get a plug-in Maverick, and I don't know when or if we'll ever get an full electric Maverick. So I've got to keep it straight with everybody, keep us on the right track. I don't want anyone getting fooled, and of course it doesn't bother me to have to, you know, do a little bit of BS busting.